What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with probably one of the most anticipated legit checking guides that I've been being asked for the past couple of weeks. We have the Jordan 1 Lost and Found. The other day I posted the comparison guide, legit checking guide for the AMM4s, and now we are doing the Lost and Found Chicago's. And first thing that I'm gonna say when it comes to this is, one, subscribe to my channel if you like legit checking guides and QC guides and all that good stuff. And two, so much of this review and comparison and legit checking guide is going to focus on things that have nothing to do with the shoes at all. And I say that because without really breaking down like the nuances of the shape and, you know, the new shape that they took and things like that, it's going to be really hard to tell the real from the fake. So let's just get into it. We'll talk about the shoes, but we're going to start with the boxes and everything like that. But first and foremost, this is the replica reference that we will be using for this video. And I got this pair from luckkick.ru. They are folks that early on in my early channels, when I had no subscribers, they were willing to send me these replica references so that I could start some of my early guides. And they have been, I haven't done any work with them in a while, but they hit me up the other day and they're like, hey, we want you to do a comparison guide for the Lost and Found Chicago. So they sent me over this pair. It is a size 8.5, so it's a little bit smaller than my authentic pair, but we will do what we got to do, and I'll leave all of their information up to here. If you have any questions about the shoe, this is for educational purposes only, so I'll leave all of their information up on the screen so you can do that. Well, with all that said, let's start talking about the shoes. And when I say let's start talking about the shoes, I'm actually saying let's start talking about the boxes, because that's where we're going to start. And that's where a lot of those little nuances are popping up so that you'll be able to know if you're dealing with a fake pair or a real pair. So let's get the shoes out of the way. So the very first and the easiest thing to hone in on is the sale stickers. On the authentic pair, you can see that the sale sticker, it's supposed to mimic two stickers on top of it. And if you were collecting sneakers back in the day where they would actually put shoes like Jordans on sale, you would generally see stickers like this. But if you look at this sticker here, you can actually see it's a bright kind of highlighter yellow. When you compare it to the rep, it is a darker, more mustard yellow. So look at the color of that sticker. Now, there are a lot of people that say positioning matters, but it's a sticker, and I don't know if they're actually following some kind of guide on that. Maybe I've got a second pair of retails coming in, and I'll compare the angle at which the sticker is placed, but that doesn't sound like something that would be reliable to me. But definitely the sticker color and the shape a little bit too, because if you pay attention, you can see the rounded edges of the sticker, while on the authentic pair, it's very sharp, and the angles and the cuts aren't as sharp on the rep pair. So there's that. Other than that, there is a slight, and I don't know if you guys can actually see it, there's just a very slight color difference in the oranges of the box and the reds of the box. It's a little bit more vibrant here on the Nike logo on the authentic pair, and it's a little bit darker here on the rep pair. But now that we've looked at the facades of the box, you can take a look at the size tags if you want to look at that. I personally haven't seen anything too crazy. The weight of the text on the rep boxes are usually a little bit bolder than the authentic pair, so take a look at that, take that screenshot and compare. The next thing that we're going to take a look at, and probably the easiest thing to be able to tell whether or not the pair you have is real or fake, is going to be the receipts, the Sandy Bros receipts that come in the box. On the left, I have the authentic receipt, and on the right, I have the rep. And there are a number of differences in how they look. If you take a look here at the authentic receipt, notice how everything is dark but not super bold. Look at the signature here, look at the receipt numbers and things like that. Nike really did a good job trying to make this look like an original receipt. Now, when you look at the rep tag in comparison, damn near everything is bolder. You can see the signature, the Paul L, it's bolder here. Leah N, much bolder there. Colors are slightly different. If you take a look at the text in the bottom left corners, also looking a little bit different, looks kind of smudged on the Authentic pair, which is kind of what you would expect from a triplicate receipt like this from back in the day. What I'll do is I'll just post some pictures up on the screen side by side so you can see the intricacies a little bit more, but it's all up in the text. They're a little bit different. Other than that, I mean, they kind of get the image right, but this is probably the easiest way to tell. Just look at the date and the signatures and you'll be able to tell right off the bat. The inside papers that come with them are more or less the same, just a little bit darker on the Authentic than on the rep. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's too hard to film. That's the deal with the boxes. Let's take a look at the shoes now. Now here we have it. We have my Authentic pair, size 11 here on the left, and the rep pair, size 8.5 on the right. And right off the bat, I'm gonna say there really just isn't too many differences. And one thing I will say is that there's gonna be a ton of variation on the Authentic pairs, and the reason why it's going to be a ton of variation is because there were 500,000 plus pairs of these, and they were made across 2 different factories. That is just going to factor into the point where Nike is even saying that, like in their promotional marketing images, that you should expect each shoe to kind of look individual and different. So that's one thing. That's one thing for sure. The other thing is that the very nature of this shoe, the aging, is never gonna make one pair look exactly like the other. But there are still things that we can take a look at to really kind of hone in and focus. And I would say the first thing that I think the easiest thing to take a look at for me is the shape, because this is not supposed to be a traditional modern day Jordan 1 shape. It's supposed to be a hybrid between the 85 and the Jordan 1 High OG that we get nowadays. So part of that is this differently shaped toe box, which is, it's really hard to kind of point to, but it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit thicker than your traditional regular Jordan 1 highs that we buy. They've gone with the 85 style Wings logo, which is embossed as opposed to the traditional way that we're used to seeing it. And then across the different leathers outside of the red, you have this distressed, tumbling white leather, cracking white leather on the toe, on the side panels, and then you have this black cracking leather here on the ankle. So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is that the rep kind of just looks like your traditional Jordan 1 regular modern shape. So it looks like this pair specifically is just the regular Jordan 1 that we're used to seeing with the Chicago 1 lost and found materials. This isn't that different, but it's subtle, and you can see it in the toe box. You can see it in the proportional size of the swoosh. This is an 85 swoosh. This is a traditional Jordan 1. But even then, it's scary good. One thing that I have noticed that reps do that Authentic pairs don't is that the Authentic pairs are not shy on the cracking. You always see a lot more of that underexposed foam, I guess, or exposed leather that really sets this apart from the Chicagos from 2015. The reps kind of just barely do it. And I think it's particularly noticeable on these little mid panels here. You can see that there's a lot more cracking, and there's going to be differences in degrees of cracking on the Authentic pair. And when I get my second Authentic pair, I'll do a full breakdown of how those look different. But these should definitely have a bit more cracking than they do. And I know some people are going to prefer that. I know that for a fact. The next thing I noticed is that the tongues on the rep pair are definitely puffier than the tongues on the authentic pair. Not by a lot, but it's still pretty noticeable, especially with this size being smaller. It's definitely noticeable. But again, I don't think I've even really hit on something that you could use as a legit, like as a 100% sure legit checking guide. I do think there is one thing though. There's one thing that for sure set an alarm for me, and it's not something that I'd be able to notice until I had them side by side. If you take a look at the sock liner, they're actually kind of different colors. We've got a cold bluish black here, and then you have a regular muted black on the sock liner, which again, not something that you're going to be able to notice without being able to do the comparison side by side. So that's unfortunate. Other than that, there really is not much to talk about. There was more in the boxes that allowed me to tell the difference between real and fake than the actual shoes. And maybe when I get a pair in a size 11, it'll be a little bit easier to tell, but I apologize guys. The air in my work area just kicked on and it's a little loud if you hear a fan in the background, but we're at the end of the video anyway, so it's not going to make that big of a deal. But more or less, I would say that these are scary close. The materials are exactly the same. There are a little bit of differences here and there in terms of shape and proportion. You've got maybe the Wings logo being a little bit more pronounced on the reps than on the retail, but there really isn't that much to point to on the shoes. They did a really good job, and Nike made a ton of these, allowing for a lot of variation. So I would say that if you are focused on legit checking at the moment, please pay attention to the box, because the shoes may not be able to tell the story. But with all that said, guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.